One of the great features of the Darwin and Dinosaurs exhibit is Hungry Birds. Hungry Birds is a game we designed that lets kids play, hunting moths in the forest, and at the end of it they realize what has happened is natural selection. That as the environment changes, their strategies will change, and they see it at the end. It's recommended by the National Science Teachers Association, and it's a great game. So you start the game, and an avatar will come up and they'll explain how the game works. In this game, you are a hungry bird. I'm going to skip through some of this. There are dark moths and there are light moths. And as you fly through the forest, you'll see them on the trees, and you have to get as many as you can. So I'm going to say there's just one player. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to admit that I am, in fact, over 23. I'm a boy, and now I'm going to play. So now what will happen in 1 second is the game will start, and I have to eat as many moths. So there's a moth, and you see they explode when you get them.
Having trouble seeing those moths? You ate a light moth.
So a bird flying through the forest sees the moths, and birds are very hungry. It takes a lot of energy to fly. So they need as much food as they can get. So they will eat as many moths as they can find. Then we introduce pollution, and the trees turn from white to dark. And the birds, they keep hunting.
Don't let that stop you. Keep eating. 30 moths. Getting full yet?
The record for this game is by a young man from Japan who got a score of 90. And I'm not going to get anywhere near that. I can tell you already.
Just 5 seconds left.
5 seconds. So what happens is it shows you now that in the first part of the game,
Let's see how you did.
before pollution, when the trees were white, I got 20 dark moths and only 8 light moths because I could see the dark moths better on the white trees. But when we introduced pollution, the trees turned dark, and all of a sudden the light moths were easier to see, and I got more light moths than dark moths. That's exactly how natural selection works. The environment changed, in this case as a function of pollution, which is a bad thing, and all of a sudden the birds need to eat the same number of moths. All of a sudden they can see the light moths better than the dark moths. Before pollution, almost all the moths were light because the birds ate all the dark moths. And after pollution, the dark moths became the dominant moth in the population.